Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something that I never really thought to do before. Been wanting to do it for a while, but haven't been able to because school started back up for me a couple weeks ago. Was hoping to get this video out sooner, like a lot sooner, but haven't been able to get around to it. So what I'm going to do today is count down my top 6 favorite moments from the Lost World novel. Just to take my mind off of school and finally give you guys a new video. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Number 6, the high attack. A lot of people would probably put this one a bit higher than me. The reason it's so low is because I think Eddie Carr's death in the movie is probably a lot cooler than what happens to him in the book. But still, the high attack and Eddie Carr's death in the book is really something to read. It's pretty wild. You've got Levine, Thorne, Eddie, Arby, Kelly, all stuck in this tower with raptors just coming at them from every angle. You got Eddie just wildly swinging this bar around in his hands, trying to keep the raptors away from everybody. But then one grabs the bar and throws him over the side of the tower, causing him to fall to the ground and into the mouths of some very hungry raptors. Yeah, this scene really scared me as a kid. It was fun to read, incredibly dark, and it also gives you a bit of a fake out when you think Arby dies. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. But it still really convinced me that Arby died. Yeah, the high attack, number 6. Number 5, the first and only Carnotaurus kill in the entire franchise. Now, I know a lot of people will constantly talk about the Camoflauging Carnotauruses towards the end of the book, but this scene where Diego dies by the 2 Carnotauruses doesn't get anywhere near as much attention. Which is kind of sad because it's really well written. Like, basically all of this book is. It's just, I don't know, it starts off pretty normal. Levine and Diego are on the island. They walk around a little bit, and Levine finds a Musaurus, which is what I reviewed on this channel like a few videos ago. I don't know how to check. The tiny prosauropod from the late Triassic, and then out of nowhere it leaves, and then Diego just starts freaking out. His body gets pulled away into the bushes. Levine almost dies. Levine actually has a lot of close calls in this book, I'm just realizing. He almost dies, but the Carnotaurus misses him and eats his backpack. And I had those final words just burned into my head. Despite all of his planning and all of his clever deductions, things had gone horribly wrong, and he knew he was about to die. Yeah, those final words have just stuck with me my entire childhood. Yeah, really well written scene, really underrated. I don't hear too many people talking about it. It's probably because it got overshadowed by the Camoflauging Carnotauruses, where we actually find out what it was that killed Diego. The word Carnotaurus isn't really used. It's only used like a handful of times in this book. But anyway, on to number 4, the Rex Nest Raid. Again, another scene. Funny story. This scene in the novel actually got me in trouble once in elementary school, because if you've read it, you'll probably know why. Dodson is yelling at King and Bastleton to grab some of the eggs, and he says some colorful words, and unfortunately for 2nd grade me, I was reading that scene when we had a mean old lady substitute in our class. So she looked over at me, saw the words on the page, and yelled at me for a very long time. It didn't get any better when she read the scene where Basilton straight up gets his arm eaten off by the male T-Rex. Yeah, so this book has given me nightmares, childhood trauma, and got me in trouble by a teacher. Second grade was a great year. But all jokes aside, though, this scene is actually pretty popular, and I didn't even know it was popular until just recently. I mean, it starts off like you think everything's gonna go fine, but seeing as how this is a scene with a T-Rex, nothing goes fine. Dodson brings this sonic box thing, I don't know what it's called, I forgot. But it emits this loud noise that dinosaurs find really painful, really hurts their ears. But the device breaks, the Rex's ears, their hearing comes back, and they kill George Basilton. And like I said in the high attack, it leaves you on a cliffhanger for one of the characters. Like, you think Dodson and King are just done for when the last line of the scene is Dodson felt a sharp pain in his forehead. He began to see stars, and then he blacked out. I was convinced Dodson died, but then, again, spoiler alert, he doesn't die, neither does King. But yeah, this scene, I love it. My childhood got me yelled at by a mean old lady. I love it. Number 3. This scene, why did I say movie? I never really paid much attention to this scene as a kid, like as a little kid, but now I'm in high school, I really like it. Which is odd because this scene has 0 dinosaurs in it. And that is Biosyn sneaking its way into Malcolm's office to find out that something has survived. Yeah, it took me a whole 30 minutes to come up with that. But aside, I love this scene. I really do. I mean, Biosyn is just great in the Crichton material, which is really sad because we haven't seen any of them in the movies since the original Jurassic Park. I mean, yeah, we did get some info about them in the Telltale game and in the Return to Jurassic Park DLC for JWE, but other than that, nothing. And they are long overdue when they come back to Jurassic World Dominion. They'll have 5 movies to make up for, so Campbell Scott, you better bring your A game. But again, all jokes aside, I love that these people are just... sorry, I'm trying not to copy what other people have said. I love the idea of rogue people finding out that something survived. I love the way it plays out. I mean, how can you fool Ian Malcolm, Swedish Biosyn spies? But, yeah. And I love that that cool little touch Crichton added with this giant map with pins stuck in it where real, actual dinosaurs have been found all over the world. Not just in Costa Rica, but Baja, California, everywhere, Ecuador, other parts of South America. It's just great to me, and God, I'm sorry guys if I sounded like other people, like Clayton Faridi made a great video about this scene. So I'm really sorry if I started sounding like him, I really am. But yeah, Biosyn sneaking its way into Malcolm's office, number 3. Number 2 is yet another scene that got me in trouble in school. The death of Howard King. Oh, dear Lord. This is another one that... Okay, so what happened was we were in lunch, and sometimes during lunch they would let us bring books in there to read after we finish eating. And I was reading this, and the janitor, or the custodian who was monitoring us, had such a short temper, and I started reading Howard King's death, and I I was starting to read it. He was running through the grass. Raptors were closing in on him. And then people were just flooding over to see because me and my friends were actually visibly shaking. That's how tense this scene was, to see what was going on. And they were reading about how Howard King was just being ripped to shreds by these angry velociraptors. And it got even worse when we find out that not only did the raptors kill him, but they somehow tore his head off. I mean, that's something really cool. It might be a bit too far to see in the movies, just seeing a raptor holding a guy's head in its mouth. That would get the film an R rating instantly if that shows up in Dominion or any other movies. But yeah, it was the custodian who was monitoring us. He actually turned red, like he flipped out. And he was like, "Why are you reading this? This is too violent for you." And he almost took the book away from me. But then he read the scene where one of the raptors, I can't believe Crichton added this. This is hilarious and I love it. One of the raptors actually starts to eat a candy bar Howard King had on him. When we read that for the first time, we couldn't stop laughing. I mean, you've got all these other raptors just ripping this poor man's body to pieces, showing no mercy, ripping his head off. And then you've got this one raptor who eats a candy bar. Maybe that raptor should audition for a Snickers commercial, because he'd fit the bill perfectly. All jokes aside, though, like, I've said this way too many times, from now on, "this is very well written" will no longer be a sentence. But it's very well written, and it's so suspenseful. It actually gives me goosebumps sometimes, most times, without fail. And yeah, it's great, it's violent. I think it's probably the best death scene in the novels, next to Bastleton or Eddie. But yeah, the death of Howard King, number 2. And finally, the number 1 best scene in the Lost World novel is no real suspension, because if you know me personally in real life, or you've been a follower of me since I started the channel, you'll probably already know what it is. And if you've read this book and been in the fan base for a while, you'll know what it is too. Number 1, the Camoflauging Carnotaurus. I could read that chapter forever. I really could. I mean, it starts out harmless enough. Thorn is just going to a shed looking for gas. But then he starts to hear this heavy, horse-like breathing coming from the forest. And it turns out that all the other predators on the island, including the T-Rexes, and that's saying a lot, stay away from the area that they're in. Turns out there's a great reason for that. Turns out a pair of Carnotaurus has staked the area as their territory. And not only that, but they can camouflage into any environment perfectly, like an octopus or a cuttlefish. Jeez. This scene, it's just amazing to read. I had lots of fun with it. It's just amazing. It's one of the best suspense scenes that I've ever read in a book. Crichton, he knew how to make dinosaurs violent, and he knew how to make incredible death scenes and reveal camouflaging Carnotauruses to people. This scene is just amazingly written, and I love the way that Sarah Harding and Richard Levine counter the Carnotauruses too. There are a bunch of lights around the operations building or worker village or wherever it is they're at, and they keep flipping the lights on, and it starts to mess with the Carnotaurus' color pattern. Like, they can't pick just one environment to camouflage into. And just the mental imagery I have of a Carnotaurus camouflaging with some jungle or a chain link fence, it's just super iconic to me. Yeah, I love this scene. Could read it forever. instant classic in my book. A must read. This whole book is just a must read for any Jurassic Park fan. And that's it. That's my top 6 favorite scenes from the Lost World novel. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, I am gonna make a video similar to this for the Jurassic Park novel, the one that came before this. I don't know when it's gonna come out. Hopefully sometime in the next week or two. But yeah, I'll see you guys then. And before I leave, and I need to do this quick because I need to go to sleep tomorrow because I need to march in a parade. I'm a big fan of this British science fiction series that's been running for 50 years. You may have heard of it. It's called Doctor Who. I've been a fan of it for a long time, and I've been wanting to try and post reviews of certain classic and modern Doctor Who serials on the channel if you guys would like that. Or would you like it if I started a separate channel and posted the reviews there? Because I already have one review for a classic serial that's in the works. I don't know when I'm going to get it out, but I don't know when I'm going to get it out onto YouTube. Hopefully soon, but yeah, maybe. What would you guys think? Would you enjoy that, or should I make another channel and post Doctor Who reviews on that? But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss any new videos, and tell me in the comments what your top 5 or 6 favorite scenes from this book are. Again, really sorry if I started to sound like other people's opinions in this video. Just wanted to apologize for that if I did. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.